All right, guys, let's start class. Okay, so what are we going to do today? So today we're going to start off the task 1A discussion, right? We're going to start off the 1A discussion. Right. So I want to start with the Excel sheet that I shared with you on Google Classroom yesterday. I think you can see my screen now. So we started this case study by looking at the context. You are a marketing consultant to Ford Motor Company. I told you the examiner uses positive marking, which means the examiner will look at your work in context, being a board member in Ford Motor Company, and see whether you are thinking within your role as a marketing consultant. And there is no one best way to answer in CIM. So you are called to look at the guidance notes, the assessment criteria, the lecturer's notes, and to use your theoretical knowledge you learn throughout your course and CIM and answer the questions to the best of your ability, critically evaluate. You will need to analyze in the strategic audit and demonstrate to the examiner that you have the thinking of a level 7 master's level student. The prize winning assignments have been shared with you many times, the 3 world prize winning assignments. If any of you don't have it, you can WhatsApp me and I'll share it with you, but I've shared it so many times on the WhatsApp. The 3 world prize winning assignments. Okay, so you need to benchmark that. Of course, the questions are different. So the strategic audit tools, you don't need to include all this, but you can pick and choose what you want to include. We looked at the detailed SWOT analysis with you. You cannot cut and paste any of this. You have to write your own stuff, but please use this as a guide. But please be original. Originality of thought is critical. You cannot copy because you are getting a Turnitin report at the end, which will give you a similarity score. So plagiarism and collusion, you have to avoid at all costs. AI writing, AI, ChatGPT, and all AI related tools are not permitted in CIM. So the Turnitin report will detect all of that. So be genuine, you will pass. So we looked at the key issues, the critical success factors, the 5-year goals and priorities. So you don't need to follow these same formats. Please look at the A-grade answers, but I am giving you some thoughts. Then these 2 tools are simple. I wanted you to do them. The power and interest matrix by Mandelo to analyze stakeholder power and interest and stakeholder expectation analysis. You can do this. So today I want to start my discussion with the macro environment analysis. So under political legal factors, I saw regional conflict and trade tensions, especially the Eastern EU conflict impacting supply chains, because Ukraine is a big supplier of neon supplies for semiconductors, which are used in the car industry. So you can give it a rating. I have not given it a rating. You can give it a rating, high, medium, low. And OT means whether it's an opportunity or a threat. The industry's legal constraints and compliance issues are mentioned in the case study. Vehicle emission standards, road safety, environment, ISO. Brexit is spoken about, how it disrupted supply chains within UK and Europe. and the US tax treaty for electric vehicles, which is an opportunity and incentive for auto companies to shift production to electric vehicles. Then economic factors, again, I saw the US-China intensifying trade tensions as a threat. Specifically, the US elections are around the corner, and they have been going at each other for the past few years in terms of heightened trade tensions, uncertainty. But a stable US government can help auto manufacturers. High gas and oil prices, the case study talks about it, will push Americans away from the SUV and trucks into low profit small vehicles. And now with tensions in Iran and Russia, who are two very big oil suppliers, if they get into a regional war, then it's going to be a big problem with high gas and oil prices. US GDP growth and economic recovery. We have seen a slump in the last few years, but last year, 2023, we have got 2.5% year-on-year growth, which is positive because COVID was a disaster. We had negative growth. There's some level of normalcy being signaled. 2020 was a huge decline. And consumers downgrade during a tough economic situation. So you need to understand that the economy has a direct impact on the auto industry. It's simply because of discretionary and non-discretionary purchases. So discretionary purchases, usually, your basic needs are your food, school fees, right? Utility bills, rent. So consumers who earn a salary will usually first pay those. And if you have any loans or credit cards, it is after that that you'll think of upgrading your car, making travel plans, buying something discretionary, and enjoying a little bit more. So during tough times that you have to tighten your belt, you don't think of upgrading your car. Unemployment, the case study talks about. It is pretty high in the past, but it has stabilized now. High inflation has been a problem, which will increase raw material prices. We saw that in 2022-23, impacting purchasing power, production cost, profits, and may increase the average length of car usage by consumers, and they will not buy new cars. Social, cultural factors, subcultural influences, because in a country you might have cultures, subcultures, and you need to cater to all these cultural aspects in terms of your design, your interior, your performance, because culturally people look through, sometimes they look at color, right? They have color preferences, size variant, size preferences, design, features. All these are various appeals that will vary from market to market. So cultural adaptation, localization is important. Localization, not globalization, localization. Changes in consumer lifestyles. Working from home is still a trend post-COVID, and people moving up from discretionary spending, right? Still, we don't see a real recovery in the tourism and the travel industry to pre-COVID levels. It was anticipated that this year that shift will take place, but still we don't see that. So hopefully next year we should have a full recovery to pre-COVID levels. So it takes time, but your semiconductor shortage is still a big, big problem impacting the entire industry. Environmental factors, there's pressure to adapt a circular approach to production through recycling. Circular economy, right? Through recycling. The case study talks about. So using secondary raw materials, recycling is going to be very important because there's a limited supply of metals, raw materials. And in the EV industry too, electric vehicles, the batteries are hazardous. So recycling and a circular approach is spoken of by all players in the car industry. High energy consumption in terms of water and energy, which will push the electric and the hybrids and the green energy revolution. The electrification trend. The future is EV. There's an environmental conscious consumer. The challenge is to develop charging infrastructure, and it is improving. The case study tells us that we are even sharing charging infrastructure for our EVs with Tesla. Tesla has very good charging infrastructure. So we are sharing it with them. We are collaborating with them. Then the technological space also has a lot of factors. The growth in e-commerce, especially in markets like the BRICS, China, where there's a large middle class, we have a lot of online purchasing of cars. Now, I know to you and me that sounds funny, but it is a real trend. So if people are buying vehicles online, then you need to look at the online customer journey and the online value proposition, big data analytics to understand customization, because they're not coming to a showroom, they're buying everything online, right? And this is actually real. This is actually real. So the online e-commerce transactions for purchasing cars are increasing, okay? IoT and connected demand, Internet of Things, and software will play a very important role to win the case and the mass race. You know what case and mass is now? We did that. Mass is mobility as a service. Case is what? C stands for? What does C stand for? Can someone type what does case mean? Have you forgotten? Connectivity. Yes, connectivity. A is for? Have you forgotten? Told you don't forget this. A is for? Autonomous. S is for? Shared. When you say shared, we are talking about shared ride hailing, right? Ride sharing, Ubers of this world, ride hailing, ride sharing, and E is electrification. So don't forget this. This is the trend. I spoke about this when we started the kickoff class in the case study. So autonomous technology will be forecasted to increase by 2030. Now you have a pestle here. You don't need to put all my factors, but there is a question on pest. So you have to do a comprehensive pest. And under that, have your scenario plan. Now, in developing your scenarios, I've left it for you to do. You have to select the base case, best case, and worst case. You can benchmark the A-grade answers. So here's how you can do. Here's how you can do your scenario plan, right? You start with the pestle analysis. And the scenario plan under the pestle, you will have 2 to 3 scenarios like this. So you have to pick the scenarios that have data. I'll give you some options. Then you'll have the base case, best case, which is the optimistic case, and worst case, which is the pessimistic case. So usually you will get the base case data from the case study, financial forecast. So whatever numbers you have, right? And then the best case can be plus 10%, worst case can be plus minus 10%. So it can be 10 or 15 or whatever, right? So you create a worst case scenario and a best case scenario. But you have to get the base case from the case study. So in terms of what to include as financials and what to include as the scenarios, you don't need to use many, maybe 3 is enough. I am giving you some options here. So in terms of the scenarios, you can talk about growth in emerging markets, BRICS. So select 3 out of all this. Don't select all this. Global auto market growth forecast, hybrid and electric vehicle growth, industry growth rates, recessions, competition, war in Ukraine, and you can add to this, okay? You can add to this in terms of case. You can add to this and include other things like you can even take each and every one of these under case, right? We have taken electrification, so you can take shared, you can take connected tech. So select 3 out of all these scenarios here, what you feel, and then write a little bit about the scenario. And then you have to explain the financial forecast. We have numbers in terms of revenue growth, sales, operating income, market share, shareholder equity, EBIT, market cap, number of dealers, domestic market growth. So take the base case and then forecast the best case and a worst case, plus 10% and minus 10 to 15%. And you will do something like this, right? So there's no one best way to do it. Be creative. I don't want to give you an answer here because I don't want all your scenario plans to look the same. So look through the A-grade answers, the price winning answers, and create something. Because sometimes when all of you produce the same information, then the examiner will fail all of you. So there is a problem there, right? So you have to improvise and deviate in some areas. Therefore, I want you to do it. Okay. Right. So the Porter's 5 forces is also a very simple tool. I'm not going to do it and give it to you because it's a very simple tool, industry analysis. I have done the competitor analysis, which I'm going to show you. But Porter's five forces, you have to take the five forces, select the drivers, put the implications, and talk about the impact. Don't make it very long. Porter's five forces. Keep it short. Keep it short. Right? Then you have to do a competitor capability analysis. This is a theory we discussed where you take Ford and all the competitors that are mentioned. There are 4 to 5 competitors mentioned. And you can take the critical success factors and rate and rank. And you can derive the overall score like what you see here. This is from the Walmart case study. This is done in every single A grade. Then comparative analysis, I have done a table. I'll share it with you. Strategic group mapping is a must. So this is from the Nintendo case study. So you have to select a strategic group map and draw a strategic group map and plot the players, right? So in terms, let's come back into the case. Let's come back into the Excel sheet. The micro environment, what I want you to do is I have given you some of the drivers here. So you can select the drivers that are relevant, and write the implications. Keep it very short, very short. So if the first 5 are not relevant, you can delete it. So take only what is relevant, 2, 3 factors that are relevant, write implications and give a rating, right? So I have given you the template here. Delete what is not relevant where you don't have case material. Keep it very short. Don't put a very long Porter's five forces because you can mainly use it for 1A. And 1A is 500 words, mainly to do with the macro environment analysis and scenario plan. Porters, you can talk about competition, few other things about substitutes, right? But don't keep it very long because we have to keep space for the other tasks. Now, under comparative analysis, here's what I have sort of done. So in terms of your competitors mentioned in the case study, you have Ford, Toyota, Mercedes-Benz, BMW, Volkswagen. Staff strength, you can see Volkswagen is very high. Toyota next. Then you have Ford, Mercedes-Benz, and BMW. But Mercedes-Benz and BMW guys targeted a very different segment. You can see the value proposition here. In terms of the VP, Ford targets more a practical and affordable kind of segment. Very similar to Toyota. Toyota consumers look at value for money and reliability. But the case study tells us that Mercedes-Benz is more high class and luxury. That's what the case study tells us. And BMW is luxury vehicles, motorcycles. Volkswagen has so many multi-brands. You can see. Audi, right? Seat, Porsche, Skoda, and so many other brands owned by Volkswagen. So it's a multi-branded company. And you can see the revenue numbers. I have converted the euro to US values. So you can see Volkswagen is a very big player, right? Volkswagen is a very big player. Then you have Mercedes-Benz in terms of revenue, okay? BMW, sorry, you have Ford, then Toyota, right? You have, so Toyota, yeah, Toyota numbers are not global numbers, okay? Toyota numbers are not global numbers. So Toyota numbers are in Japan and in North America, what they do. So you can see how big Toyota is, right? Toyota numbers are very big. In Japan alone, they do 131.9 billion US dollars. Then in North America, 138.9. So Toyota is a big boy. Volkswagen is also a big boy. And then you have BMW and Mercedes Benz that are high-end luxury products, right? And then you have Ford there. So there's no one that you can really buy in this space. Usually the examiner will give you one or two companies that you can buy. But in this case, they can buy you. They're big, right? Especially Volkswagen and Toyota. But the critical success factors that the case study talks about, you can go through. Right? You can type some critical success factors here. We have and weaknesses. I have not filled that for Ford, right? Because you have the SWOT analysis and we have given you the critical success factors already. But some data that the case study talks about, Toyota top rank for global sales in 2023, worldwide dominance, second largest in revenue, sole brand with 10% plus of global market, record-breaking financial performance. But they were investigated for some faulty testing data. And they have lost, Corolla lost the first place to Tesla, right? And their profits have eroded as well. Mercedes-Benz, good financials, desirable cars, vans, exotic luxury cars, premium cars, innovation and technology, engineering, design, excellence, strong reputation, low volume compared to other competitors. Their focus is most only on the EU and the North American market. And the sales may come down when those markets are impacted. Late entrant to electric vehicles, like you. BMW, German company. You can see their brand value. Now, if you look at the brand value here, Mercedes-Benz has a very good brand value. Mercedes-Benz has very good brand value. Toyota has very good brand value. Right? Brand value. Then it is BMW. Then it is Volkswagen, and then it is you. Right? So you have a long way to go to develop your brand. Can you see? You're far behind. Far behind. So BMW, a lot of investment in R&D and innovation, owns Mini and Rolls-Royce, invested in AI manufacturing. China is a key growth market. They focus on a few segments and markets need to really make headway in the electric vehicle segment. Then Volkswagen, multi-branded, big company, leading global producers, 6% market share behind Toyota. They are also investing in different types of technologies and fuel types, mainly blue energy, the hydrogen energy, a lot of R&D in battery, plug-in EVs, and AI. So they also had some problems with defective seats and all those things and losses and emission scandal. Right? So this is some case data on some direct competitors. So you can do your competitor capability analysis. I have given you what to put here. Then you can do the ranking and rating and give it an overall score. Then the strategic group mapping, you can select one of these, either of them, and put them on both sides and draw your strategic group map and place your competitors there. Right? Then let's look at the strategic intent, your vision. The vision at Ford is to become the world's most trusted company, designing smart vehicles for a smart world. That is the vision statement at Ford. We'll repeat that because we need this to answer 1A, to become the world's most trusted company, designing smart vehicles for a smart world. The strategic goal is to become the leader in the automotive industry on a global scale, but you're far behind. The mission or the purpose statement is to help build a better world where every person is free to move and pursue their dreams. Right? Fairly simply laid out. No complicated words. I have a lot of criticisms about this, but we don't have a question to criticize the strategic intent. So we will come into the question. And they call it the truths, which are their values, which is to put customers first, doing the right thing, be curious, right? Create tomorrow, built Ford tough. So one of the other things that Ford can, if you look at some of their models, they're tough cars, tough terrain cars. Not only cars, they are especially their double cabs and their SUVs are tough terrain, tough. When you look at them, you can see it's like, it is very rugged. Okay, play to win, one Ford. So this is the strategic intent. Let's go now and look at the questions. First of all, your cover pages must be really nice, guys. Your cover pages must be really nice. So you have to use very nice images like this. So please find very cool, nice, high definition images, right? So that you sell your work starting from the cover page, Okay. Now, I have shared some recommended reading with you for you to reference the macro and micro industry, macro and micro environments. For my book, chapter 2, Exploring Strategy, chapter 2 and 3. Then Jim Blythe's book on marketing essentials, recommended reading the marketing environment, chapter 2. And another CIM recommended reading book by Drummond, Edshaw, and Ashford, Strategic Marketing Planning and Control, chapter 2. Right? So I have given you these chapters of these books only on the environment, so that you only read that if you want to reference it. But remember, you have only 500 words. So I'm giving you a past paper which had the same question, 1A, 10 marks, 500 words. Assessment criteria is the same, past paper. Critically assess the external marketing environment. For Louis Vuitton, Moet Hennessy. That's the LVMH, is the Louis Vuitton holding company. And its readiness to deliver its vision and mission in global markets. Now, in your case, you don't have the mission. Your question is slightly different. The mission word is not there. Critically assess the key factors in the external marketing environment impacting the readiness to deliver its vision in global market. So can you see? Question is the same question. Same question, same assessment criteria, same word count, same marks. Okay. So if you look at the 20 A grade answers I have given you for the Louis Vuitton case study, which I will go through now, you will then see how simple this question is. The assessment criteria from your syllabus is here. It's very simple. So why should we assess the external environment? Why? There can be reasons as to why you should, as a consultant, understand why is the assessment of the external environment so important? To identify opportunities and threats, to help a business cope with change, pose a long-range planning view, to make visible the resource allocation and decisions, aid in strategic analysis and decision-making. So I'm giving you a long list that you can understand. Why is it so important? Provide a strategic management and control system, helps identify key issues, prepares managers for discontinuous uncertainties. Managers are forced to break out of their standard worldview and forecast. It will be used to assess the risks associated with decision making. And finally, the marketer can build on scenarios on the pestle analysis. So there are so many reasons as to why one should assess the external environment. Now, why have I given you this? Because we are going to use it in our introduction. You're going to take some points from this and write a very small paragraph in an introduction. So I went through this with you, the analysis for the strategic audit. Remember the strategic group map. Do a nice strategic group map. There are some Chinese electric vehicle manufacturers also mentioned in the case study. Some very small players. If you want to, you can put them in a separate strategic group. And this is the question. Right? So your guidance notes at the end clearly tells you what theories to focus on. Pestle, SWOT, Porter's five forces, environment influences, those related to competition, Pestle, economic, political, legal, regulatory, technological, customer lifestyles, impacting, and the readiness to achieve the vision and mission. Actually, this mission word is not there. That's a mistake. Right? So you have to follow this if you want to get a distinction, 70 plus marks and win a grade answer. Win a world prize. Right? So the vision, mission I have given you here, very clear, vision, mission, and values. Now, in terms of a structure of the answer, your biggest problem that's going to be here, guys, is the word count. So you can write 10 to 15% extra words, but don't write a lot. Your biggest problem is going to be the word count. So very small introduction, critical discussion as to the importance of analyzing the external environment. Why should the company analyze the external environment like a consultant talking about it? Use citations from Johnson and Scholes. I've given you Blythe, Drummond, and so all those. I will take you through A-grade answers now to show you how they have done it. Now, in terms of the critical assessment of the impact of the macro environment, I have given you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points under macro, 1 point under micro. You may not have space to do all this. So you have to prioritize, maybe select 3 or 4 from macro and 1 micro. Because you have to write an introduction and conclusion as well for 500 words, right? So shall we quickly look at, so the structure I have told you, you can either follow a table format critical assessment of the marketing environment, macro factors and micro factors, readiness to deliver Ford's vision in global markets and a rating. Or you can follow a paragraph approach. Now I want to show you some A-grade answers from the Louis Vuitton case study, A-grade answers. And let's look at them so that you can, before we go into the answer plan, so that you can understand the things a little better. So let me show you one by one. Right. Let's start with this one. It's very simple, guys. CIM is not difficult. Can you see? I'm giving you a lot of A-grade answers. 550 words. Do a nice cover page. Put the subtask-wise word count like this. Subtask-wise word count like this on the task cover page. So can you see a nice introduction is written here? Nice introduction. A-grades. As to why it is important to analyze the external environment. So if you sit and read these answers, your writing will become very easy. Then you see a small table, not a small table, fairly big table, and a conclusion, right? So you can see how nicely it is presented. Presentation is very, very important. So the student has selected macro factors, looming global recession, emerging technology and digitalization, evolving social cultural landscape, then some factors in the micro environment, competition, customer segment and value propositions, supply chain and distributor management. The rating and ranking is provided. It's a critical discussion. So it is not a discussion where you only appreciate the organization. It's also to critical, to be to criticize what they're doing. So when you're reading this, you'll see that it's not appreciative in its tone. It's talking about a critical assessment, right? So when you look at this, you can see how it is presented and a conclusion at the end, a small paragraph and an introduction, right? Nicely done. Let's go to another one. Here's another one for the same question. Again, the word counts are clearly mentioned, report format done, all those nicely done in the cover page. Now, the student has again written a small introduction, use the citations. Then some level of charts and graphs have been used, which is good. So you can use Deloitte, McKinsey, KPMG, and some other good thought leaders, PricewaterhouseCoopers. If you have, those are the people who talk about the future of the auto industry. Don't just use Wikipedia, Statista. Please don't use them. I repeat, Deloitte, McKinsey, KPMG, PricewaterhouseCoopers. Right? This company that is used, Bain and Company, is a research company studying the luxury market. So you can use some nice charts and graphs here to justify some of the points. So micro and macro environment discussed, nice conclusion at the end. Let me show you another one now. Now you can see a certain template being formed. Nice introduction, table, charts and graphs, critical discussion, presentation is very important, and a conclusion. So if you read these few A grades that I've given you, students have left a legacy behind. Your answer will be very, very easy. Again, another one, introduction, then macro factors, micro factors, and conclusion. This is only a one-page answer. One-page answer still got an A grade. One-page answer. Here's another one. I have given you all this. Nice introduction. My name is also mentioned there. Then macro and micro drivers discussion on the impact of the readiness to deliver the vision and mission and conclusion. Okay, let's look at one more. Right? Again, nice introduction. So you can see now, this is it. This is it. This student has not even written a conclusion. Still got an A. Right? So this is what you are required to do. Now, let's come into the answer plan. Let's come into the answer plan. So like I told you, a good introduction. Under the macro, you talk about regional political conflict and trade tensions. This is what we spoke of in the pestle analysis. Then global economic challenges. Again, there are so many points here that you can talk of. You can use some charts and graphs. Changing consumer lifestyles and preferences. You can link all your macro analysis in the audit. Impact of emerging technologies. There's so much of things that you need to talk about in the case study, and you can project all the impacts to the future, some charts and graphs, and show how it will impact your industry in the future. And legal implications too can be another point. So you can decide, don't write about all these, you can't finish it in 500 words. Maybe select 3 out of the 5, and then talk about the competitive rivalry, which is micro environment. So under micro environment, you can talk about competitive rivalry. There's so many points there which the case study talks about. Go through all these that I've given you. Remember, you don't have a lot of space. And in conclusion, you can comment on Ford's overall readiness to compete globally. Is it strong, weak, or tenable? So reach a conclusion. How do we avoid strategic drift? How do we monitor scenarios via environmental scanning and switch strategies as scenarios emerge? Suggest monitor trigger events and behavior of regulators, legislators, and key competitors on a regular basis as part of the strategic management of environment uncertainty. Right? So this is the structure of the answer. I've given you A grades now. I've given you the structure of the answer. I've given you the analysis. Now you need to do the work. Do you have any questions? So Ranil is asking, can we use data beyond the case material? So you can, but stay within those I told you. You can use Deloitte, McKinsey, KPMG, PricewaterhouseCoopers. I shared one with you already. I will share a few more with you, but you can always Google those thought leaders. You can go onto their websites because they have all spoken about, if you Google the future of the auto industry by Deloitte, you'll get so many reports. The future of auto industry, automotive industry by KPMG, you get so many reports, right? So it's very simple. Then you download those reports and you can use. So those are thought leaders who have spoken about the industry. Don't just get Statista, Wikipedia, whatever, just Google random stuff and put it. That won't help. You have to get thought leaders who have done research on this industry, and you can use those. Yes. Good. Any other questions? Right. So I am looking at doing task 1B on Tuesday. So we will do task 1B on Tuesday. by now you should finish task 3. Some of you have done it already. And task 1A and 4 pages of the strategic audit and send it to me before the next class on Tuesday. Can we take any factors in Pestel and SWOT? Yes, that's what we have taken. That's what we have taken. Those factors that I've taken here are from Pestel and SWOT only. Yeah, external environment has to be, from those areas. All right. Before you start writing, read the A grades. Your job will be very, very easy. In fact, the next question I'm going to give you, again, I have so many A grades. I'm going to give you 60 A grades for the next question, 1B. From here on, all questions have a lot of A grades, so don't worry. Right? Only one question, 3C did not have A grades. Others all were repeat questions. So don't worry. Right? So let's get a good A grade, do your work and send it to me. All right. Good night. I'll see you on Tuesday. Good night. Good night.
Thank you, sir.
Good night.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.